Welcome to ADI TV.
Hi, welcome to the fourth instalment of this tutorial to Top Trumps. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and open the Top Trumps project folder which we created in the last tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the Indesign Template. Now InDesign is a desktop publishing program. Now, as you can see here, pretty much the same as Illustrator and Photoshop, is that the palettes are on the right hand side. We've got the contextual menu along the top and the tools on the left hand side. To be able to go to the next stage of inserting the Photoshop image, I'm going to need to get my guides up. So I can do that by going View and going into Grids and Guides and Showing Guides. It's also Apple : for those that want to use the keyboard shortcut. Now I've already got two guides, vertical guides, this one here and this one here. We're going to add two horizontal guides just to help us out. So I can do this by a number of ways. Right now I've got my rulers up, and what I mean by that is the ruler at the top and the side. And if I press Apple R, that toggles them on and off. There again, you can find it in Hide Rulers in View. So with the ruler showing, if I grab from the ruler, click on the ruler and pull out, I actually grab a guide. In this case a horizontal guide. I'm just going to put it down, doesn't really matter where. Now up on this contextual menu it tells me the Y value of where that is on the canvas, and right now it's 25 millimeters. So I'm going to need to change that to 25.9, and that's going to put it square on the top of this black section where the image is going to go. I'm also going to grab another one and put it a little bit further down, and I'm going to need to change that to 130.2. Okay, brilliant. So you'll notice as well, when I grab the actual guide, instead of being blue it turns to red, and that actually correlates with the layer. Currently I'm on the Photoshop layer, which is red. You can see by this red marker. The text layer is blue, and whichever layer I'm on, if I create a guide, it will create a guide on that layer and take that colour. So next up I need to add a frame. Now pretty much all content has to have a frame, or has to be contained within a frame in InDesign. So I'm going to go down to my frame tool, which is this one here. Looks like a rectangle tool. It's actually the rectangle frame tool. I'm going to click on that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle frame where I want the image to be. Now I also want get InDesign to help me, so I can get it to snap to guides. So I'm going to go onto my grids and guides, and I'm going to make sure that this snap to guide is toggled. As it happens, it is. Now all I need to do is get the mouse relatively close, and it's automatically going to snap. Now this inside this square is where I'm going to put my image. So now also, if you look at the layers menu over here, you can see that I've got a rectangle frame. Now to insert an image, I've got a number of ways I could do it. I could go and get the image and just drag and drop it on. Alternatively, I could go up to the menu File, Place, which is Apple D on the keyboard, and then let's say I'm already actually in my project folder, but if I go to the desktop, find down around Top Trumps, where that will be your name, and go to my elements, and I want to find the image of battle, the Photoshop document. So I'm going to hit OK. Okay, and now what it's done is it's brought that image in. But if you remember, that image is really high res, and actually battle is in the middle of the image, so we're looking at the very top corner, so that's why we're just seeing white. Now if I just zoom out, that's Apple minus on the keyboard, and I use my direct selection tool, which is the white arrow, that will allow me to see the size of the content. And if you see what I did there, with the selection tool I can select the object, deselect that first, and you can see the size of the frame. But if I want to see the content which is within it, if I use the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow, and you can see that's how big the image is, the PSD. So if you remember, battle was probably kind of around this area here. So if I move this image up, we'll start to see her. There you go. Let's zoom back in, now we can see. and just use the hand tool, so spacebar on the keyboard. Now that looks a bit too big to me, so I need to scale that down. So there again, I could zoom out and I could hover my cursor over the corner. I'm holding down Shift, which keeps the proportion, keeps the aspect ratio the same, and holding down Alt, which means it will zoom from the center. I can actually move and scale that image. So okay, it's getting pretty close. Let's just zoom in and check that. So I'm just going to use the left and right arrow to toggle that around. Now if you see your image and you think it's a little bit low res, it looks blocky, by default InDesign always shows everything in a kind of a fast resolution, which isn't the highest resolution. Now if we want to see your images as they're going to print out, or as best as they can be, if you go to View, go Screen Performance, and you can hit High Quality Display, and watch what happens when I do that. It takes a bit of time, the computer has to work harder, but it shows everything in high res. So now you got a really nice image. Now if I want to kind of see what this actual InDesign document is going to look like as well, as a kind of preview, I can hit W on the keyboard, and that will get rid of all the paraphernalia of margins and guides, etc., and just show you a representation of what it's going to look like. Deselect that. So that's pretty good. So I can toggle that on and off with the W. Okay, so now I'm going to save this document and save. And I'm ready for the next step.
The School of Arts and Digital Industries at the University of East London.